Welcome guys! So I heard your feedback on the last deck discussion video, and since you seem to like this format, I'm coming up with the next one real quick. This time about a Druid deck that I played with decent success on ladder in Season 15, which was the June season of 2015. So when I hit Legend, I tried out different decks and tanked down my rating to rank 1800 on Legend Ladder. And then during the last days I wanted to do some serious ranking up. And I came back to the Druid and looked at my stats, so what was I up against most of the time, and a lot of matchups were against Patron Warriors or Control Warriors, but in general weapon classes a lot. So I replaced my Azure Drake with a Harrison Jones, and then I realized that I also wanted to have like more consistent weapon destruction sources, because even if you get the best case Harrison Jones, which is usually getting it off a death spite, they still can have a second death spite and can still get like a lot of patrons very early and get you in trouble if you're up against Patron Warrior. And also, like, drawing the 1 in 30 cards is sometimes a little bit difficult. So I thought I would add another weapon destruction source, which there's only one of, the Acidic Swampos. And I cut my Ragnaros for it, which I usually play over scenarios. Just to get like a little bit lower curve, also against more aggressive matchups. Just in general to be a little bit more flexible. And it turned out to work quite well, as you can see in my stats that these are the stats of games that I played from 1800 to 51 on Legend Ladder. As you can see, there were a lot of weapon classes actually, like 3 paladins, 5 hunters, 14 warriors. Also, the shamans tend to run weapons, either power mace or doom hammer, or sometimes even both. But I think one of the games were against a shaman who didn't even play a single weapon in the game, but I'm not sure. Also, the aggro paladins are running a lot of weapons, and even the normal paladins with like 4 weapon sources, 2 true sivers, which are 2 true sivers, 2 masterful battles, and if you want to count Tyrion, it's also Tyrion. So there are 4 to 5 weapon sources already. So you get a lot of value from the weapon destruction overall. And then there were 7 druids, where Ooze, I think, is still a decent minion, but we'll talk about this a little bit later. So you're probably familiar with the matchup of Midrange Druid, because it has been on ladder for quite some time now, with different variations, but the game plan is usually the same. So you have a few win conditions with this deck, one of which is to simply out-tempo your opponent with cards like Innovate and Wild Growth, which are staples in these kinds of decks for a reason. Wild Growth is basically an investment towards the future game. If you can get one off by turn 2, you get 1 additional mana by turn 3, by 4, by 5, by 6. So it's a lot of value for the future turns if you don't get overrun and if you draw it early. Innovate can always help with getting additional tempo in matchups where it's necessary, and cards like Druid of the Claw, like Emperor Thorson, even like Ancient of Lore, if you can bring them out more early, they're a lot more scary. The second win condition is to pressure your opponent towards an HP threshold, where you can actually burst them down with cards like Force of Nature and Savage Raw. In combination, these are 14 damage. With an Innovate and another Savage Raw, it's 22 damage from an empty board, if you can have a board, which you might have because you run cards like Shade of Naxxramas, Lothab, Belcher, high health minions like Druid of the Claw, Pilot Shredder, which spawns another minion. So there are a lot of like helping things to actually have bodies on the board. And of course you can get Emperor Thorson off with combo pieces, Force of Nature and Savage Draw to play multiple copies of these cards at once. And sometimes you can even get something like Druid of the Claw, Force of Nature, Innovate, Savage Draw if you got like maybe 2 activations from the Emperor. That's like the second win condition. The third one, depending on the matchup, can be outlasting or outvaluing your opponent with cards like Engine of Lore to get card advantage and just or to heal yourself back up against aggressive decks and just let them run out of cards and then just beat them with big bodies where there are actually a lot of in the stack. So I'll get over the cards real quick. I'm sure you're familiar with why most of them are in there, so I'll not try to waste your time with this. But Innovator and Wild Growth, I said it before, mana manipulation is pretty powerful, as well as the Emperor in this deck, or in decks in general. So these are staples in Midrange Druid for quite some time now, and that's for a reason. Wrath is good early removal, can be used also to kill a giant, for example, if you have 4 or 5 damage on the board. Can also be used for cycling if you're running low on cards, can be used on early removal for Knife Jugglers or Leper Gnomes if you don't want to take much damage, stuff like that. The Acidic Swamp Ooze, I mentioned it before. It's basically, like if you compare it to the usual list, it's basically like a Chow replacement. As I said earlier, there are a lot of weapons around, so I love having this one around. It's a little bit more aggressive than a Chow, and it doesn't have the liability. But I'll talk a lot about Chow later. 2 Savage Draw, pretty auto-include these days. A big game hunter, you might actually, depending on the meta, you might actually want to run 2, but 1 is pretty much included into every Druid deck. Also because you don't have many ways of dealing with big minions. And that's why cards like Ysera give Druid so much trouble, because they usually don't have or don't run hard removal. So Big Game Hunter is one of the things to get actually rid of a Dr. Boom or a Giant or something else real quick by developing a body, which might actually be used to combat with Savage Draw the next turn. Shadow of Naxxramas is pretty good in Druid because of 2 reasons. You can get it out earlier with like mana manipulation cards, or you can just let it sit there and grow and combo it with Savage Draw later. Swipe, also decent removal, especially especially because there are cards like Muster for Battle or Implosion around, which spawn a lot of 1/1s, and you can get rid of 1 big body and a few other cards as well. Also nice against Face Hunter. There are a lot of occasions where you can use it, and of course, bonus points, you can use it for face damage to deal 4 damage to the face. Keep Up the Grove, a decent body. Silence is very valuable in this meta, and dealing 2 damage sometimes is also quite helpful. It's a nice tempo card if you can get it out earlier, like turn 2 Wild Growth, turn 3 Keeper, or Innovated Keeper of the Grove is against aggressive stacks is really helpful. Pilot the Shredder, like I said before, it's a sticky minion that spawns you another body, which can also be used with Savage Draw later. It's also a little bit more aggressive with a 4 attack. Druid of the Claw used to be one of the best 5-drops. We've gotten a lot more 5-drops since the classic times, but it's still a decent minion, and what I most like about it is its versatility. You can play it and push for damage, for 4 damage actually, during 1 turn to push for damage, or you can quickly remove something. You can combo it with Savage Draw on the same turn, or you can simply put up a 4/6 taunt, which, if it gets silenced, is still a 4/6 body, and most of the time very valuable as that. Harrison Jones, I said it before, I replaced an Azure Drake with it, because Harrison Jones in this meta is usually draw anyways, and I wanted to have weapon destruction for all the weapon classes. Loatheb is a nice pressure card, of course, a decent body, 5/5 for 5 mana is pretty good, and the Battlecry makes sure that your board sticks around and you can prevent your opponent to clear your board, to, if it's another druid, to combo the next turn, or you can just make sure to your board to stick around one more turn until you can combo it. And if you play it like, let's say by turn 8, and you have the Force of Nature Savage Rock combo coming up, then this is another 7 damage. So you can, if just the low Theb sticks around, you have still 21 damage the next turn. Sledge Belcher, I actually wanted to run 2 off, but this deck has so many 5-drops already, as you can see. And you already have 2 taunts with the Druids of the Claw. One could consider to replace one of them probably with another Belcher. But I just couldn't find the space to add a second one, and I like the versatility of Druid of the Claw too much to replace one of them. Then Force of Nature, as I mentioned before, very nice combo card, and there was like a development of just running 1 copy, but I found running 2 copies way too valuable for many reasons. 2 of them are that if you follow my content, then you know that I have the habit of having an important copy of a card very deep in my deck. So I usually bottom deck the 1 copy Force of Nature, and I don't want to cycle through 27 cards until I can finally use a combo. So actually having a combo card and also having it reduced by Emperor Thaurissan early is quite important. So the consistency of the draws made me include 2 copies anyways. And then there's also the nice benefit of it being able to deal with freezing traps in the Hunter matchup, or just to clear like a Patron board with it. So you can kill 2 or 3 2-health Patrons, kill another one with like Wrath or Swipe, and to get rid of these. So it's sometimes I use it like as if it was a Starfall, but you can at least choose your targets for the Starfall. So you don't have to pop a Nerubin Egg, you don't have to trigger the 1 3-health Patron on the board, but you can simply like get rid of a lot of stuff, also against Zoo, and like I said, you can proc traps with it. So I really love running 2 of these. And of course, like I said, the combo, and sometimes I even play 2 combos, like over the turn of a few games. Or in one game, I play 2 Force of Nature Savage Rock combos for a lot of damage, or for just clearing the board if I fall behind. Emperor Thaurissan, I talked about this quite a few times here. It's a great card. Your whole deck is like reliant on mana manipulation because your hands can get kind of clunky. And like I said, if you get your combo pieces reduced on the mana cost, you're able to do a lot of silly stuff. And if you end up with a hand like Force of Nature, Savage Draw, and reduce it, then it's not 12 mana anymore, but 9. So you can deal like 22 damage from an empty board just with the cards in your hand, and don't even have to use another Innovator or something, which is pretty nice. Sylvanas is just another tempo pressure card. It forces your opponent to have an answer to it, or you can use it to, or if he doesn't have an appropriate answer to it, you might have to make awkward trades, or to simply ignore it, and then you sometimes are able to, like if your opponent just plays a Belcher and hope that he gets along with it, you can trade the Sylvanas into the Belcher, kill the Slime, and maybe play your own Keeper or your own Wrath on it, so to steal your opponent's other minions, whatever he might have on the board still. And of course there's like the minor consideration that you can use Savage Raw and Big Game Hunter to trigger your own Sylvanas. It's rare, but sometimes it's actually lethal with that, because of like charging Frothing Berserkers and such. Then there's the Ancient of Lore, staple in these kinds of decks. Also, just because of 5/5 body that draws 2 cards is very much almost OP, and it's very much needed in this deck also. So if you're running low on cards and have Emperor Thaurissan and Ancient of Lore, you might want to play the Ancient of Lore first to get more cards reduced. And of course there's Dr. Boom, which is the only Big Game Hunter target in this deck. but I think it's still worth it just because of the boombots. They help if you get behind, and if you're ahead, and even if your opponent has a BGH, he still has to deal with the boombots because they represent 6 damage if you combo them with Savage Raw alone, which means if there are 2 boombots and you play your combo, you have 14 plus 2 and plus another 4, which means 20 damage from board already just with 2 boombots on the board, which is kind of scary. Plus you can trade your 3 damage boombots into something and deal another 1 to 4 damage to something. So yeah, Dr. Boom is also a nice addition to the deck. Cards that I left out, which are frequently asked for, are the Chow that I mentioned before. I don't like Chow too much in this deck. It's basically just good against Face Hunter, and for the Face Hunter matchup you have your Ooze, which will reduce like damage from Glyphzuka or even the bow with maybe even multiple charges anyways. Same for the Harrison Jones, of course. And other than that, the Chow usually doesn't provide much value, especially in the mid or late game. Because I lost I lost more than 1 game due to being off by a few points of damage. Sometimes even by not playing aggressively enough. So I could have... and I lost 1 game just because I didn't attack with my hero power against the Patron Warrior because I didn't want to trigger his Battle Rage early. And then I was 1 off lethal, and then I couldn't finish him off and lost the game. So having this in the back of your head, it's kind of hard to play Zombie Chow most of the time because the 5 health drawback can be such a huge liability. That's why I like the Ooze a lot more. It doesn't have the drawback. It's of course 1 mana more expensive, which is a huge deal, especially in the early game. But it comes with the nice weapon destruction synergy, and it's a little bit more aggressive by itself, so you can actually push for more damage. And then the second question is, why is there no scenarios or rag? Well, I had to cut something for the weapon destruction things, and I found it easier if the curve was a little bit lower. And I found scenarios to be way too slow right now. And it's also sometimes a liability against Patron Warriors, which you could see in my stats earlier. I'll show it again real quick. 14 of my matches were against Patron Warrior, or against Warriors in general. So a huge amount of them were Patron Warriors, which well, kind of benefit from the 2/2 taunts of the scenarios anyways. And 9 mana is kind of hard to play because you basically skip your whole turn. Yeah, so I usually play Rag over it, and in this case I found it to be a little bit easier if when the curve was a little bit lower, because it also helps with aggressive decks and not being stuck with cards like Boom and Rag or scenarios in your hand very early. So, that said, thanks for watching until here. In the following you will see 2 example matchups that I played on high ranked Legend ladder to get an impression about how good the deck worked. Yeah, and that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Feel free to leave your comments in the comment section below, and I'll see you around next time. Bye bye.
Malfurion versus Illyria.
Oh.
Tremble before the might of the elves.
I must protect the wild.
Later, maybe. You mulliganed all cards, that's good. Okay, Keeper's okay. No ramp is a little bit unfortunate though. Oh jeez. So if I coin and hit this, I will hero power the next turn, which won't be much against something like a Mad Scientist. If I don't coin hero power, I can hero power the next turn, which means I take 2 more damage. But I can coin out a Keeper afterwards. Coining out Shade next turn sets me up for another 2 damage. I think I can't afford to coin. If I had an Innovate, it would be... but no.
Put this apple on your head.
Ouch. How important is this wild growth? I can play keeper without coin next turn. But until then I'll take another 5. I won't silence the 7. I'm already in a pretty bizarre spot. I guess I kill it. Next turn coin keeper. Hopefully no 4-4 or 4-2 animal companion. I can swipe the turn afterwards. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Fuck. This hurts so much. 6 mana. I could develop the wild growth. Having 5 mana next turn doesn't do anything, I guess. No. I might have to use the Innervate to get to my Engine of Lore soon.
Get in there and fight.
Okay. Wow. So much damage. Plays animal companions, so it might be hybrid if I'm lucky. Then this was just a impressively aggressive hybrid hunter start, which means he doesn't have too much more reach. A little bit though. If I hit this, I can't develop. Well, I could develop the shade, I guess. But I feel like swiping this is way better. Next turn I'll probably innervate the lore for 5 health. Then hope that I can, I don't know. Okay. This was at least a slowish turn. Let's see what kind of trap it is. Okay, it's Face. Face is way more scary now. This is 7. This is another 12. I can deal 19, so I have to survive 2 turns. Which against 5 cards in 2 turns. Ouch. I think that's not easy. And even drawing another lore doesn't help. So I need a taunt. Druid of the Claw, Belcher. That's it. What is his hand then? Kill command, kill command. Interesting. Him not playing anything could tell me something. But no, he plays explosive traps, and kill command, quick shot kills me, even without a beast. Kill command, hero power kills me. I think my chances are still better by developing the Druid of the Claw, because I don't die to Wolf Rider, Arcane Golem, stuff like that. Or Owl, kill command, shoot is still not lethal. If I hero power, I get up by 1, which might, yeah.
Where shall I strike?
I don't miss lethal, no. I died to 2 spells, and he didn't play anything, so I'm kind of convinced that he has 2 spells. Okay, there's the Owl. Which means he has 2 mana less. That's kill command. I don't die. No, I don't die. Okay. Well, it's a good top deck by him, but I calculated that, and now I have lethal, right? It's 9-11 already, I just need 7 more. And it's way above lethal.
Well played. Malfurion!
High ranked druids.
Protect the wild. Nature will rise against you.
Going first. Without, no. It's way too ambitious. Would have been fun though. Eh. Eh. One more draw for the wild growth. Or maybe Shredder or something, but. Eh. Please no wild growth. Oh my goodness. Do I innervate Belcher? I can kill something with swipe next turn. So I guess I do. It's still not... It lines up well against Shredder, so I might want to use the coin to use a 4-drop now, but... Okay, my second 7 mana card. This makes me quite unhappy. Innovate next turn would be huge, otherwise... Otherwise it gets hard. There we go. I guess I just play Boom. I have to get it out ASAP so that he might not have a BGH by now. It's 5 cards. It's kinda unlikely. Kinda. No.
I must
Okay.
safeguard the land.
Doesn't have it. Okay. Seems like we are back in business. Hit one of these. Not the face. Oh, nice. He played this before? Yeah. Before the boom. That's an interesting line now. There are a lot of interesting lines now. I could also Savage Raw just to get the 9 damage through here. I think I see where this hits first.
Time waits for no one.
That's good. He doesn't have a BGH, so he should have a hard time dealing with this. Other than, I don't know, swipe, Wrath. Why is everyone playing Ancient of War all of a sudden? Oh, that's a good top deck. That's 11. If I play this, I cannot play too much else. This one, of course, could put him down to 4. These are not possible. I put this down to 2 if I trade. Doesn't help me too much.
I must safeguard the land.
Seems like Taunt Druid is working well right now. So I hope that he doesn't have another Taunt, which he might. But I have Druid of the Claw, Savage Raw. He used the Keeper and Wrath, so he has 2 swipes and the Wrath and the Keeper in the deck. To like hit, spell things. This on its own is 8 damage. So if he doesn't lure or taunt, if he clears Oh. Okay, whatever. If he plays lore, I win, I think. And if he clears and leaves me, leaves up a taunt, then I have a problem. But the good thing is he can't kill me from here easily, so okay. Oh, he lures for the draw. Okay, he still has an innovate, so 2 innovates. He didn't play any innovates. Oh, sweet points! Sweet points.